I suppose just leading into this for everybody, got Grant here. I'm friendly. Grant, you want to just explain the origins of how you got this clip?
Yeah, it couldn't start normal today because it's a super weird topic, but I had someone send a clip to me saying that Nikocado has basically become the Joker. And when I very first saw it, I was like, okay, somebody probably took a bunch of clips, put it together, made some kind of Joker montage, kind of celebrating the new Batman movie coming out tomorrow. And no, when I clicked on the video, it was him. It was a direct statement. There were no cuts. I mean, it was him giving a statement. I mean, they added in Joker music, but it wasn't edited in any way. And then we recently just checked on the actual video, and it's straightforward exactly what he said. And basically, what he told us is that everything up to this point has been part of a social experiment, and that I wouldn't really say that it's fake, but some aspect of it was. And he was testing us to see how we respond to things. He said that he's looking at all the people who watch his videos as these ants that he's stimulating and controlling and making do certain things because they're people that are thirsty to consume stories and drama, and that he is the villain. He said that he's the villain, he's the bad guy, and he's the one causing the drama to see what we'll do and to make us basically go through all these things, but coming from the standpoint of we are desiring these things or wanting to consume them. We need these things. And it's like he's taking a step back and he's looking at everyone like, why do you all need this? Why are your lives so boring that you need to have drama in someone else's life to feel alive? And why do you feel involved in my life just because you watched my videos? I mean, it sounds like he's kind of come to like a midlife crisis situation on YouTube and his YouTube career. But my real questions are, is it real? Is this part of an act? Because I have three different questions that I could ask about this. One, is he putting on this act as an excuse for why he's been acting the way he has, why he has let himself go? It's all part of an experiment. Two, could it be that he actually was putting on an experiment and this is nearing the end of it and now we're kind of seeing the man behind the curtain? Or is he going extremely meta with it and it's actually not an experiment, but he said it is now so that we'll think it is, and now the real experiment is us trying to decide if this is an experiment or not. Because it seems like a very different person. We usually do not see this person. I've seen him a little more serious, but it's always been exaggerated him in the character, and this is a totally different person we've never seen before. I'll probably have the link to the video in the description. 5 minutes, 37 seconds in, he completely switches into the character from this depressed, like, melancholy character that's really thinking things through and really coming to realizations, boom, right back into his funny, silly character. And it's like, is this the real man behind the curtain? Is this the man who's actually really either putting on some kind of experiment or suffering because of everything going on and he's just giving us a peek because he's tired of it? Or is this person and the happy person both an act and we still haven't seen the real person? I mean, it's such a dynamic, weird, crazy situation, and honestly, it's a little bit scary.
So going into this, I really don't have much of a frame of reference of what he normally does. I even had to ask you when you first sent me the clip, is this like something he does? Does he put on weird like skits or things periodically or do something like that? And you were like, no, just no, he doesn't do this. Which, just as an outsider, it's interesting to me that you saw it as kind of a him in the car being retrospective, maybe a little depressed, and honestly, I saw paranoid. I saw him checking his mirrors and nervous drumming, and then, like you said, like there it goes from this one persona to instant, like completely different person. It was very unnerving.
You seemed like he looked nervous. I kind of saw it as he's got a lot on his mind, kind of melancholy, like I really don't want to have to do this. Like more so, I mean, it would be kind of nervous, but it would seem it was more so dreading something coming up. He's anxious more so than nervous. But if he is nervous, I mean, if this is actually an act and we're getting close to the end of it, he could be nervous because he doesn't know what his career is going to look like after he's finished the project. Or it could be that, I don't know, it could be so many different things, but I mean, if he's anxious, it could be because he really just has something going on, or maybe he's having a mental break. Why do you feel like he included the driving scene right afterwards? I mean, that's not, he does stuff like that every once in a while, but it's not characteristic to start the video out serious and then immediately follow it with a car ride where he looks determined and serious. He included that for a reason. It's not there by chance. There's some reason he included that, and then just jump straight into the happy-go-lucky Nikocado.
I had an odd series of thoughts go through my head of he starts off with a video where he's basically, I am the villain, I am the mad scientist that has been leading ants hither and thither and to and fro and watching them dance for me. And then he does this weird cut of him driving. And what does he do while he's driving? He puts on Blistex. Very, very clearly showing the label on the chapstick, which he puts on for a minute. I think it's even shown through like a cutscene. And then cuts again, he's sitting there, he's drumming his fingers, he yells at a lady, and then he's like, hey, go buy my shirt.
I mean, it could just be a peek behind the curtain, because in that same car scene, at the very end, all of a sudden there's an unnecessary jump cut, and then he's the new happy-go-lucky, cartoon-esque version of Nikocado. So maybe that's what this whole thing was. It was him being real with us for a minute, and then showing a glimpse behind the curtain how he really doesn't want to do this, but he's determined to keep doing it because it's what he feels like he needs to do, and then showing the transition, showing how he just puts on his happy mask to keep going forward.
Has to work himself up to sell a product so he can keep,
Yeah, that's why I showed
living.
the Blistex. Basically, symbolically telling us that's what he's doing. He's the product. All he's doing now is promoting a product, and he's just determined to sell that product to keep himself going. And it's not really that this is him or his life or what he loves to do, but it's just what he has to do or feels like he has to do. Experiment or no.
I don't know. I just hope he's okay. Whichever way you look at it, no matter what way you look at it, it really boils down to, was it an act and he was acting for the sake of acting? And whatever other, reasons he had for that. Or you think it was real?
There's only one reason I think it could have been real, and it was actually, I was going to make a video on it, but I decided against it. I actually still have the files in my folder. But there was a video back when he was not playing the character and he was his normal self. It was right after he got out of veganism. He was doing a spicy challenge. And he said, if I ever go any hotter than this, I'm trying to kill myself. He said he worded it like that, which I thought was strange. And then after it was more recent, after he was in this new persona, just doing all these crazy things, he had a video with the exact same name as that video. Exact same title, emoji, everything. And he was eating something way hotter and a lot more spice packets. And that just hit me in a way that really it spoke to me and said he is trying to hurt himself. And it made me scared. That's honestly when I started doing all this, started looking into him and wanting to talk about him. I started fearing for his life because I feel like this man is trying to take himself out, and people trapping him in this system where he feels like he has to keep going bigger and better to keep the views and just all the hate and everything. I feel like it's feeding into that and it's making him go through with it. And I'm terrified of that, honestly. That was before we did our video, and I felt like our video was a better message and maybe could actually help him more than just highlighting the problem. So that's why I decided against it. But I mean, I feel like it's important to bring it up now because that's where this is all coming from. It's someone that I have enjoyed the work of and that I admire because of his comedy. I don't know him, but I do know what he does, and I admire the work he has done, and I appreciate what he brings to the table, what he brings to the world, even the underlying message of do what you love no matter what it is, and don't let other people dictate how you live your life because it's going to make you miserable. And then seeing a person that inspired me in that way so deeply, and someone I enjoy watching so much, enjoy the work of so much, start to decline mentally and want to harm themselves, maybe even end their own life. I mean, I felt like I needed to do something because he had given me so much that I felt like I owed him at least this much.
How long ago was that? Was the new video?
I think they were about a year apart. And it was after he started this whole new persona and then started really going into food challenges and spicier and bigger and badder. This whole thing that started worrying people is what made my... Well, for one, I saw where he was actually comfortable with what he was eating. He didn't go past his limits. He respected his limits. He knew his limits. And I mean, I guess you could build up a heat tolerance, but he hasn't. Because he was pooping in his chair in one of the episodes. He's hurting his body. He had to go to the doctor because of what he's eating. He had a medical emergency, and he still keeps going. And that personally makes me think that he's leaning into that behavior, and that was a little hint that he's already back then was feeling a little bit depressed, and then taking that into a year into the future, seeing the same title, and then seeing him doing the thing he said he would do if trying to harm himself. That's what has me worried. That's what really brought my attention to him, because I don't want to be a T channel. I don't want to talk about stuff like that, but I feel like this is important, and I feel like if the message doesn't get across, at least in some point, if I'm doing a disservice if I don't at least put the thought into the wind that this needs to stop. We need to treat him differently. We don't need to be using him as a target, but treat him as someone who is suffering, someone who needs help. Because if we don't, I fear that he is going to end it one day, and maybe even just by this medical experiment, this whatever he's doing to see how much his body can handle before it shuts down. I don't want him to get hurt because of what everyone else is doing, just for the tea, just for the views, just for the money. I Even if this doesn't reach anyone, it doesn't change anything, I feel a duty to at least put that out there that this needs to be done.
There's a pretty clear timeline that's showing itself. Nick is good and happy and prospering. He makes a statement about a behavior being indicative of self-harm, and then within a year of that statement is proceeding with the behavior of self-harm, and then an adoption of a persona rather than showing where he really is. And now we're at this point where it seems like he's, at least for a few minutes, dropped that persona. And it's not that necessarily what he says in the video is in and of itself concerning, but the timeline of events and in combination with this is definitely, I mean, I don't know a minute's enough to make me concerned for the guy. And I don't know what is necessarily causing the behavior, but it seems like something needs to change for him. I hope that this is simply just a stunt of some sort. And I mean, for what it's worth, it very well could be. Nick just decided that he was going to go live under a bridge for a little while, you know? Charge his troll tax and have a few laughs and make people like you and me make videos like this.
The way he reacted in the car right afterwards, I feel like that was really a key hint to what's really going on. The fact that he looked kind of melancholy and kind of determined is that he's planning on doing something extreme or something different or something he's not really ready for, but he's determined to make happen. So with that context right afterwards, that makes me think that he isn't just messing with people or on a power trip, that he isn't becoming just so stuck up that he's not even in reality anymore. That tells me there's something else bigger underneath the surface that we're not seeing, and that's where the worry comes in.
I think we both agree it appears that he's gearing up for some big change.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that it's one for the better.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, same here. I hope he's okay. It's all we've ever wanted is for him to just be okay.
It seems like, regardless of what he actually said, his actions show that he's in a dark space, and it seems like either he's been holding some very long-standing social experiment with his channel, like he stated, or he feels like he is the experiment.
Yeah.
And he's just resigned to that so that he can make enough money to get by and not have to go work some shitty retail job.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got quite a bit of money. I wonder if he's trying to get to a point. Maybe there's a certain financial pinpoint he's trying to reach, and once he reaches that, maybe he'll retire from this. Maybe that's the whole point, that he's seeing how much his body can take on his journey, and then once he is at where he needs to be, he'll actually take care of himself. I mean, I'm not saying that being a certain weight is unhealthy, but I mean, the way he's doing it, like we talked about last time, he's basically shoveling in more grease than he can withstand, trying to get to new goals, new heights, even though he's been in the hospital because of his doing this. He knows it's hurting his body, and he still keeps trying to increase the amount of the thing he's doing. So if it is a social experiment, I mean, I really honestly feel like part of it is seeing how far he can go to reach his goal so that maybe he can retire early. I don't know what he's doing, but it's just it's uncomfortable, and I hate that he feels like if he is doing that to test his limits, I hate that he feels like he has to do that to just avoid a job he doesn't want to do. I mean, that's sad. I mean, there are worse things out there, but still, I hate that's another form of a dark space, and I just hope he's not in either. I really do care about the guy, even though I don't know him. I love what he's provided for us, and because of that, I do have a genuine care for him. I hope that things get better for him and that he can stay in a good place if he's not there already, and get there if he isn't there. I would love to speak with him. Just who am I to make him have to give me a peace of mind? But at the same time, I mean, it can't just be me. If I'm this worried, if I'm caring this much, if I'm this upset about it, there's bound to be dozens, hundreds, thousands within his community, the part of the community that actually cares, that are this worried as well. So, I mean, it wouldn't just be calming my fears and healing my heart, honestly, because my heart hurts and feels for him. It would be helping so many people just to let others know, and it wouldn't even have to be us. I feel like I wish he would just talk to someone, let someone know what's going on, so we're not completely left in the dark. But this is actually someone's life. He's actually harming himself in these actions. Maybe that's why he said he's the villain. Maybe that's what he meant by that. But I don't know. It's just something needs to change, and for everyone's benefit. And I really hope that he is safe, and I hope that he doesn't harm himself from this, because no one, no matter what he's going through, no one deserves, no matter what he did, if he is the villain, no one deserves to be just disregarded and allowed to harm themselves for the sake of self-loathing. Everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves that little peace of mind, that happiness. I just hope he can find that somehow and just give us that peace of mind as well.
I guess my biggest concern is that he just feels so isolated that he doesn't feel like he can talk to anybody about it. I don't know what his home life is like. It doesn't seem like he shares that with anybody,
Not
and just
particularly.
he doesn't know either of us from a hole in the wall. I'm sure, but he just wants to talk.
Yeah, it wouldn't even have to be
Completely off
live.
air, whatever. Yeah, no, completely off air. Because either we have a very sad individual here with an audience that's driving him to hurt himself, or we have an extremely diabolical person here, and I want to talk to this mad genius.
He did say he's the villain, so that kind of leads me to think that. But I mean, at the same time, if I'm sure you've been through that point sometime in your life when you're in that really low state, you see yourself, no matter what's going on or no matter what you did, you see yourself as evil. You see yourself as this bad person. This person would be better off if they didn't exist. So maybe it's coming from that standpoint. He's the villain, as in he thinks he's evil because he's in that dark place. But it's so hard to tell with him. It really, really is.
Yeah, and I can't tell. I really can't tell which one is. What is the act, Nick? Is it all an act? Is none of it an act? We don't know, but we're worried about you. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, the whole reason we're doing these is because there's a human factor there, and you care, and you care about this person, and I care about you, and therefore I care about this situation. And if just everybody had that mindset, I think just the world would be a whole lot better off. It's time to start removing the screens and actually looking at people as people. And of course, there's always going to be actors and personas and stuff, but we need that humanity back too.
And if we don't, I mean,
And
just look what's going on in the world today. That's where the lack of empathy, that's where forgetting that people are people gets you. But with that said, take care of yourself, take care of your friends. Never put empathy on the back burner. It is very important. You don't know how many lives you're going to change just by caring. And just to keep that in mind going forward always. And maybe, hey, if everyone does the same thing, one day the world will be a better place. So let's all hope for that. This has been your host, Grant Reeds.
this has been your co-host, Friendly.
Keep your eyes wide open, care about each other, and never stop reading.